All right, let's call this meeting to order. Neil, you want to introduce the new gentleman to our midst here?
Yes, we have a new planning commissioner, Brad Penny. I'll let him introduce himself. Hit the green. Maybe it'd be wise to get him to introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Brad Penny.
I'm Larry Jerson.
And I'm Jay Larson.
Kevin Genslinger.
John Oslu.
And I might mention Dan is our council representative. He's a non-voting member, but he likes to listen to what we have to say so he can take on back to the council and let them have a little insight into our thinking once in a while, and that's a good thing. We appreciate Dan being here.
Sounds like I'm up for another, I got it for another year with you guys.
Thank you.
Well, we didn't get to vote.
I know you didn't get to
All right, roll call, Neil.
Columbia. Here. Oslu.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Penny.
Here.
Bach. Jerson.
Here.
Genslinger. Here. Allen. Here. You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. It's time for us to reorganize too, so, and here comes Mr. Vox. We need to elect a chairman and a vice chairman. We have a one-year term beginning in July, and we'll open the floor for nominations of a chairman.
Make a motion that we re-elect our current chairman and a nomination.
I second that.
All right, it has been moved that the current chairman be nominated and that nomination cease, and there is a second. Do I hear discussion on that motion?
Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that. If that's what you want, I have no problem. I can tell the attorneys to be quiet when they need to be.
You can try.
I can try. Hey, I try. Okay, roll call vote, Neil.
Genslinger. Yes. Jerson.
Yes.
Bach. Yes. Penny.
Yes.
Larson.
Abstain?
Oslu.
Yes.
Columbia.
Yes.
6-0.
All right. Election of a vice chairman for a one-year term beginning July 2020 and ending in July 2021. Do I hear a motion or a nomination?
Currently,
Yeah. Doug is currently our vice chair.
And for the times he did it, he did well. So I'll make a motion for Doug to be chair, and do I have to cease it?
I'll second that.
seconded.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the current vice chairman be nominated and that nomination cease. It has duly been seconded. Is there discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Neil? Vote roll call, please.
Oslu.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Penny.
Yes.
Bach. Yes. Jerson.
Yes.
Genslinger. Yes. Columbia.
Motion carries. The agenda has been provided via handout. Are there any declarations of conflict for any of the items on the proposed agenda should it be adopted? Hearing none, we are ready to move to adoption of the provided agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented. Discussions on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. The minutes of the June 22nd meeting were also provided in the handout. Any additions or corrections?
Make a
Move to
motion to
approve.
approve.
Oh, second.
Moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as provided. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next meeting, the blanket for the next meeting is scheduled for July 27th. Do I hear a motion? Moved and seconded that the date be set. Discussion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. First item on the agenda is a plat of Tract A of Stratton's addition in the south 940.5 feet of the southwest quarter of Section 1, P103, R61 of the west 5th parallel meridian in Davison County, South Dakota. Mr. Kenny, this is outside of the city limits right now, but it's within our territorial jurisdiction. So we're interested in approving that plat. We have a representative from the county here. Are there any issues that has seen at the county?
Not at this time. It'll go in front on August 4th and August 11th.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody got an issue with what was presented to us?
Just to get your bearings straight, up on page 6, you see a copy of the plat. Looks like it's just sliding off the 5-inch piece there. I know it's kind of hard to tell on the aerial, but I kind of zoomed it out just so that you can kind of figure where the property is located. If you just take 407th Street and then go straight, so I encompass the lake where you can kind of see it towards the top, you kind of know where this property is located. You see the railroad track, and you see Alec Court, Sunrise Court, so that zoomed it out so you can tell where it is. Yep, right there where identified where it says Track A is where it is. There is, looks like there are buildings to the south of that.
And it does have access to a right-of-way?
Yep.
Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded that the plat be approved. Discussion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. The next item on our agenda is a plat of Lot 2 in Tract H of Wildwood Golf Addition to the city of Mitchell. Looks like this follows what was previously presented as a preliminary plat.
Yep, you can kind of see that it's where it's located, right next to 3, and then obviously 1 will be a pretty good sized lot in the corner. And like I said, it does follow that. See where the yellow indicates the lot.
Comments?
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded that the plat be approved. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion is carried. Conditional use permit. Logan and Chelsea Smith have applied for a conditional use permit to operate a family residential child care center at their home at 1008 East 7th Avenue, described as Lot 13, Block 13 of Wilkinson's Addition, Davison County, South Dakota. The property is zoned R4 high density. Neil, talk to us a little bit.
Okay, there's a picture of it on page 18. You would see it's the second house in. I believe fire marshal has inspected this, and it has passed. Correct?
That's correct.
Yep, has passed fire inspection. As you can see, there's no neighborhood objection. Owner occupied, so the typical conditions would be past fire inspections, that the permit is not transferable. In other words, if somebody can't assume this if they move into it, or if you move to they move to a different address, they still have to reapply, and that if they stop for a period of 6 months or longer, then they have to reapply. So in this case, it would be the 2 conditions, obviously, unless you know otherwise.
Anybody in the audience got any comments or questions? Hearing none. Anybody on this panel have any questions or comments?
Does this daycare already under operation? I believe she might be just one family. She had indicated to me that that's kind of how it kind of grew. which is pretty common.
Hearing no other questions, I think we're ready for a motion.
I'll move to approve with the typical constraints.
Okay,
I'll second.
moved and seconded that we approve this with the usual caveat. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next item. Michael Miller has applied for a backyard variance of 13 feet versus 16 feet as required for replacing a detached garage that was destroyed by fire located at 412 North Burr, legally described as lots 6A and 7A, Block 31, Cooley and Guernsey's Addition, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota. Said real property is zoned R2 single-family residential. Neil, talk to us about it.
Okay, you have an explanation or a drawing on page 20 of your packet, and then you can see the aerial on page 23. We did not receive any neighborhood objections, so I see Mr. Miller is here. If you've got some questions of him. As you can kind of see, this was facing the alley, and he was already out of compliance a little bit by 2 feet. So my understanding is this was to replace it with what was there previously, correct?
Same dimensions, same as it was.
When was the fire?
December 13th.
Any questions from anybody sitting out in the audience in the real world?
Same height as two?
Yeah, same height, same position on doors, everything's going to be pretty much the same.
Hearing no further discussion, we are ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded that the request for variance be approved. Discussion on the motion.
Just so that you probably noticed that you cannot go, he's backing up to the 3 feet that was already there, and the fire code was required. He couldn't go any further back. So,
He's pretty much locked into where he's at if he wants to rebuild.
right. Just so that you wanted to reference why.
Hearing no further discussion, no further questions, we are ready for a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. Motion is carried.
Okay, council will hear this Monday night.
Monday night,
Okay, that's real. 6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next one. Adam and Katie Cook have applied for a side yard variance of 3 feet versus the 8 feet as required for construction of a garage at 2212 Kelly Drive, legally described as Lot 1, except the west 150 feet country living estates in the northeast quarter of section 14-10360. The said real property is zoned urban development. Neil, talk to us about that.
Okay, if you look on, again, no neighborhood objections. If you look on page 28, there's an aerial showing where 2212 is in the code requires to be up to no more than 8 feet, but he's asking for an exception to 3. And obviously, again, like I said just a minute ago, 3 is the fire code issue. So my understanding is that he has visited with neighbors, and this was an arrangement beforehand. The neighbor had no objection, and that's really the question for him. So, can you?
Anybody got a comment from anywhere?
I was just gonna, yeah, it's as you can kind of see that with the size, it's kind of tight with the property line. 2212.
Nobody's here. We're ready for a motion.
Yeah, he's actually going to be lot 310 with the overhang, but I just rounded it to
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Is there discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion and recommendation of right-of-way between 1419 and 1415 Firesteel Drive.
Okay, if I can direct your attention on page 29, this was a request for a vacation some time ago. Just as you know, the way a vacation request for a right-of-way requires is notices in front of in the paper, 2 notices and so forth, and then we receive a petition from all the adjoining, or the people, the parties that touch it. In this case, I have received petitions by all 3 parties. As you can see, the 1415, 1419, and then also 1316 Roland Lane. If you kind of look to see where it's laid out, you can kind of see what happened. The exterior lots on Firesteel were platted quite a bit before Roland Lane came in. And so it looks like at one point they had an intention they were going to put an alley through there. Well, then when Roland Lane came, they didn't do it. So you kind of see that it just dead ends there. There is a utility or storm sewer that cuts through there, I believe, and then there's a manhole cover that you can't see it where here, but it's towards the house. Well, how this came about was about a year or 2 ago. What happened is the owner at 1419 was replacing their driveway. You can kind of see that they would have previously had to jog across in there to get to there. So what they're asking for now is to vacate that portion. It's a 20-foot easement, so 10 would go to one side, 10 would go to the other side. However, we would also draft it that there would be no building going on. You know, the city would retain an easement with storm sewer or whatever other utilities that may be there. We probably would write it very open, whatever existing utilities are there. So, and it's just to straighten out where the driveway is. As you can kind of see, is a little teeny triangle piece that kind of encompasses the driveway. So that was kind of the intent. So if and when 1419 Firesteel would ever get sold, they can accommodate for that little driveway. So, now, again, the Planning Commission there's no statutory requirement for you to opine on this. However, it's been our practice is that prior to the council hearing it, which they probably won't hear it until early August.
We got a lot of notices to go.
Well, right. And so we thought we'd at least bring it to your attention. If you had a comment about it, do that. So that's the situation on this one.
At this point, the city is going to recommend that whole piece not be built.
Correct. It would be part of the resolution that there be no construction, and both owners are aware of that there would be no, and that we would retain all these utilities that are there. It's just that it would straighten out the 10 foot there. And it dead ends right there. You can see. And I believe they raised the manhole cover sometime, was it last year? The year before? Yeah. When the guy was putting in the new driveway, they raised it, so it's pretty obvious.
Is that a sewer line or is it a storm drain or?
It's my understanding there's one of each.
Yeah.
There's a storm sewer that goes to the back of the lot, and then there is a sanitary sewer that kind of comes up that basically just straightens out along the curve.
Okay. So that keeps, if that's a storm drain in there, that keeps water out of everybody's backyard probably.
Yeah. And it looks like there's utility easements to go towards the Roland Lane. So it looks like they just did easements, and this one is, like I said, Firesteel came first.
Okay. Anybody got any issues? Sounds like it's probably a good deal for everybody as long as the city retains the right to keep everything where it is. I'm one that kind of hates to give up right away, but this one isn't going anyplace. So, do I hear a motion to recommend to the city council that we think it's a good deal?
I make that motion provided
Okay. Do I hear a second to it?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded that we recommended to the council that we think it's okay, retain all the easements. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion and recommendation of right-of-way vacation between 103 and 99 North Harmon Drive.
Okay, this one is on page 30 of your packet. I have received a signed petition by the full property owner of 103 North Harmon and 99 North Harmon. I'm still awaiting for the one that's behind there. I'll probably do a little follow-up because they're from out of state. However, since it's here, we thought we'd comment or ask you to opine on this one. See, one of the owners, Jason's here, so if I missed something, let me know. What happened, they're requesting this one, this is a 66-foot right-of-way. When this one was platted, they had platted it where it dead ended right there. There's no right-of-way beyond that. So what you see is here. The city limit also is the back of the property line, or of the platted lot. So that's also the city limit. Beyond there is not in the city limit. It is on the plat, it just says a dedicated right-of-way. 66 is not named. Now, when they did do locates, we did discover that there's a big gas line, Northwestern gas line, that cuts through here and that feeds significantly part of there. So obviously, they would have to retain that. And Northwestern wasn't obviously interested in moving it to do that. So both, again, we did import, both owners are aware of that gas line exists there. So we would have to, we would probably write something very similar, that all existing utilities would remain there. And then in this case, if the council deems it appropriate, they would cut, or go 33 to the north, 33 to the south. However, it is, if you kind of see where it lines up there, hard to say why they platted that street there, or that right-of-way. Perhaps at some point they thought maybe it would line up with that, with there, but that would have been pre-houses there. So you can kind of see where it sits in the perspective there.
Okay, my question is, what's in that area to the west of that?
Just vacant land, I understand. Just farm, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
It's owned by a party out of Hill City. And I believe they own a good chunk of that whole parcel there, so. Miss anything?
That looks to me like it might be prime subdivision land some point in the future. And at that point in time, that right-of-way for another street or access may become very important. I guess I would think that this shouldn't go. That's my thinking. I'm with you on that, too. I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, you got a 4-lane over here, so access is going to be limited. That has to be DOT stuff. That has to be 37 going north, isn't it? Yes. So, and that has to be up on the top end of it to the north. Is that Airport Road?
Joe's going to overlay the parcels. You can kind of see where the rest of it.
Is that just pasture now?
Yeah.
Rodeo grounds further south?
Yeah, you could see the drive-in theater over on the side there.
Okay.
Off of the highway there. So you kind of see where rodeo grounds would be further south.
Yeah. What's your thinking, folks? You heard my 2
Yep.
cents worth.
The only, if I could have one, I don't think with you on that too.
The podium.
Jason's here. So now you can kind of see where all the other parcels line up there. So
The only thing that when we did the location, we found out that that gas line is actually about a third of it's on my property now.
Oh,
And when in discussion with Neil, I said if we get this through, I would give the easement over my current property as well,
okay.
all the way across. So, and I think when Kyle and I were talking to, it's like 20 feet or something, all the way down, so. That would then be like the other third, because when they put it, it's partially on mine at the beginning, goes to the right of way, and then ends and goes back onto my property, so. So I would grant that easement and obviously not build on it and all that, so.
And I believe that's the only utility.
Yes, yep.
You maintain it now?
Yep, I've maintained it, and my neighbor Steve has maintained it he's been there for 24, 25 years, so. And the ground behind, like last year, it was flooded, they didn't do anything with it. So this year, they finally planted something about a month ago, so.
So the reason I haven't put them up there, so you can kind of see where the other outlet would, possible if we didn't. You see,
All right?
just to kind of have a more of a global perspective.
Other questions, comments?
Kyle Croce, Public Works Director. We would bring up the same information that you did, that we would bring that to the council, saying that these areas look like they would be future access to a development to the north, and the council should consider that.
How wide is that other right of way?
Oh,
Do I hear a motion or any questions, further questions?
it might be all just an easement.
They're discussing here, Rick. Okay.
What's that?
They're discussing something here.
Okay.
So it's not a.
No, but it looks like,
66.
Where are you looking?
Right. Right in there.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, there, straight down.
I know there's water and sewer that runs on the backside of that, but I am not for certain if this is easement through here, because it doesn't, like,
I think that is. I think
Just right there is.
Just right there, I think that is 66
Yeah.
feet right away. It is? I believe so.
because that's not in the city limits.
To the north of that, I don't know what might be there, but I believe that one strip is 66 foot right away.
Right.
They probably platted it when they did that.
And I'm kind of leaning the thing like Jay is on that, it needs down the road, it's just right at us. If the development would start out here, that would.
Well, my favorite saying comes into place here. No matter how much index you put on that crystal ball, it's awful difficult to see down in the middle of it.
Can you go the opposite direction and grant the easement with a clawback provision, should that ever develop? That the city would maintain the right to,
I don't think that was our point. We'd have to pursue.
Any further discussion?
If you're going that way, really what you'd end up do is end up having to purchase it back at a later date. If you're wanting to keep it with a provision like that, then I think the best solution would be just to not vacate it to begin with. Yeah, they're still able to use it in the same capacity that they are now. If they choose to maintain it, that's fine. You're just not changing the title of it.
And you do have another access down here that is going to make some difference too. Do we need more discussion, or are we ready for motion?
Just, yeah, council will make the final. So
Yep.
Everybody in the audience will know that they make the final.
Yep.
Yours is a recommendation.
When you get a hold of the party to the north there, one that's out of town, do you notify them too?
Yes, they got a letter. I haven't received anything back from them, but They're aware, and, yeah, they're aware, if they're out of Hill City.
Neil, I think they're required to sign the
Yeah.
petition as well, right?
Yeah.
So right now, we got possible two accesses right now, and
You would
otherwise we'd be,
access any development either off Airport Road.
we'd have
North-
plenty of.
North Harmon's not a collector. It's not designed to pick up a lot of traffic, so you're not gonna use that as a main
No, but
entry.
I'm thinking of them guys in the heavy coats when something starts smoking back there. How do they get there?
They're gonna come off of either Airport Road or either
I
one.
would agree with Mayor Everson, if we are responding with lights and sirens, we're not gonna come up a residential, we'll come up 37
And
come
come
up
in.
if there's access off that way.
You're not gonna build a road there.
All right, let's have a motion. What do we recommend the council to do?
I'll move to approve.
To recommend approval?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we recommend approval to the council. Let's go roll call on this. Neil?
No problem. Malumbi?
No.
Oskaloo?
Yes.
Endlinger?
No.
Fox?
Yes.
Larson?
No.
Tirsa?
No.
Penny?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. Let us move on to the next one.
Council will hear it.
Discussion to recommend Ivy Avenue right-of-way between South Kimball and South Lawler Street. Okay, this is down in the floodplain area, flood-prone area, I should say, isn't it, down south of Main Street?
Yeah, if you, that orange or red building, which you see, that is currently owned by the School District. It's former Jameson's, had it, I think he had a car detail business of that nature in there. And so we did receive petition, signed petition by all the respective parties. The clock owns to the south, this district, and then also the property owner to the east has signed it. There are no utilities in this one, I'm understanding. As you can kind of see, it's not even improved at all. I don't think we have any intention of improving it.
What's down here below, to the bottom of the screen?
There's a, yeah. He owns the whole block, except the duplex.
Duplex in the
Yep.
southeast corner.
Yep. Right there.
And we have no utilities in there.
Joe, I can't recall, what's the pavement like on the east and west of Ivy there to the part they want to vacate?
That street will be rebuilt as part of the East Central Phase 2 project.
East Ivy.
Correct, this portion where my mouse is.
Oh, okay. What's coming from the, let's see, that'd be to that direction, what's coming out of that for drainage?
Oh, that's an asphalt street. There'll be new storm sewer on Kimball to Hackberry from Juniper, and then also new storm sewer on Lawler from Juniper to Kimball.
Where is Judge Hellepart up there?
Brzezinski?
Yeah, Brzezinski.
Kimball, right there.
Right there, okay. How far is that storm sewer coming up, South Kimball? Is it going up to pick up stuff along where this vacant lot is here, right in there?
That's correct. It ends right at that location between, or just to the south of Juniper.
The storm ends there?
Correct.
Is it gonna pick up stuff once that vacant lot right there that your cursor is on, will it pick up stuff from that?
So there's currently 2 apartment buildings at this location, and that plan has a detention pond with additional apartment buildings that will tie into that storm sewer.
Okay. Are they gonna build that additional apartment to the east
Correct.
of what's there?
Yes, it would be in this location,
Yeah.
the open area.
There's currently no curb and gutter, right?
Correct. Currently, there's not, but there will be after the East Central Phase 2 project is complete.
How far south is that gonna go on Kimball?
It
Going off to Jerry's stuff?
it goes to the property line just north of the trailer park.
Okay,
The curb and gutter will stop at that location.
okay. So the access then for that vacant lot can be off of South Kimball as well as Juniper, can it?
Correct.
'Cause
And the
underneath
plan, their
that-
plan is for access off both Juniper and Kimball.
Yeah, a while ago, and I don't know if anybody else was on the planning commission, but the people that owned the trailer court wanted to expand to that area, and the council didn't let them. Remember that, anybody besides me? Yeah, you shake your head. Yeah, it's been a while. That goes back to our affordable housing issues back a number of years ago already. Okay, what's your pleasure here, guys?
I'm not really in favor of giving it back this one either.
I'm not either. I don't think so either. I'm a stickler about that, have been forever. I hate to give up right away once we got it.
I've used chopped up some of that already. If we give it back, it's forever gonna be chopped up.
Yeah. And there might be something in that Fox owns that he might want to do something there off of that to the north in the future. I think he could leave a mud hole for the time being that's gonna drain someday. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to deny.
Second.
Recommend denial?
Recommend denial.
A second.
And we have a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Neil, let's go roll call again, please. Now, the motion is to deny.
Kenny?
Yes. Approve motion to deny.
Okay. Here's a. Columbus?
Yes.
Kindler?
Yes.
Oxford?
Yes.
Fox? Yes. Larson?
Yes. Take the message. All right, is there any other business come before this body at this time? All right, if you need to address the City Planning Commission on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. As I see no one coming forward to the podium, we are adjourned.